What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again, and welcome back to Arca Scans on this thirsty Thursday before our Cinco de Drinko tomorrow, right? You guys are very anticipated Cinco de Mayo. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called Arca Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, you guys, so we are looking at ticker symbol BEEM on the 12-hour chart here, you guys. So I am looking at a potential mover here, okay, you guys, and why am I saying that in the first place, right? So first of all, please notice here volatility versus momentum, right? We're increasing our momentum towards the upside, you guys. Okay, so we're looking at the EMA 3 versus the SMA 14 with an upside pivot. We are contracting heavily here, but it looks to be appropriate since the price action has essentially dropped a significant amount, right? So we could very well be at a floor. All right, next thing we want to look at is actually the MACD. Please notice that the MACD is getting its bullish cross right over here. We're starting to print that bull pressure, okay? So that's looking very good as well. Let's go back to the indicators and take a look at this, okay? So now our stochastic momentum versus money flow index here is actually showing us a very nice upside here, okay? So also, whenever we do get this green dot, that usually is a long signal, okay, meaning that it would be a good place to kind of get long this or whatever asset you're looking at, right? Another thing to notice here on the histogram is that we're starting to get these blue bars, and that is indicative of money flow coming in. So the disbursement of returns is in fact incoming, okay, you guys. So let's go ahead and come right back here and now find any other reason as to, you know, why we would be facing an upside continuation. And for that, I would like to go over to the quarterly chart. So let's go over to the 3-month chart and take a look at the Gaussian channel to see what we're doing. Okay, so this is potentially a floor since we are using the mean band right at 917 as a support range. So you can see that the price action actually failed just a little bit, right? Came down to about 851 and bounced right back up to use the support band at 917. So, I mean, we still have an eternity to close this 3-month iteration here, right? So that's about a month and 26 days. So this still has a lot of it can do literally anything, right? But it's looking very good since we are using it as a form of support, and we have used it as a form of support before. You know, this is a 3-month iteration here, right? Also these here, we use them as supports before continuations to the upside. All right, and even this one, right? I mean, eventually got to the mean band, and in this price action, the mean band adjusted just ever so slightly and came down just a bit, thus creating this little gap. Okay, so it's looking not bad whatsoever. Okay, so now let's go ahead and jump onto the shorter time frames to see if we can create and you know, kind of solidify a thesis here, right? So first of all, we don't want to use the Gaussian channel in the tiny time frames. I would say anything under I would say minimum 4-hour and up, and I wouldn't even use it on the 4-hour. I'd probably use it in the 6-hour and up. Or 8, right? But no, I wouldn't use it in the tiny time frames, you guys. So let's go ahead and get rid of the Gaussian band and take a look at our indicators, our momentum, to see what could be happening in the immediate short term. So a very good thing to notice here is that the RSI is actually faced to the upside, and it's about to enter the bullish control zone here, which would be the bull strength percentile. We're starting to get that little curvature from the SMA 14, looking very good. Upside pivots on both the EMA 3 and the SMA 14. With increasing volatility. Okay, so this is something that we kind of look for, right? We wanna be able to see that the very, very immediate short-term time frames have this thrust to the upside, so that they can start kind of kind of perform that domino effect into the time frames after them, right? So from shorter to larger time frames. So let's go ahead and move on to the hourly here. Hourly actually increasing volatility here, increasing momentum towards the upside, and yeah, that's looking pretty good. Now, what could be, there we go. Okay, so yeah, now please notice here that on the hourly, we're actually getting that upside pivot on the EMA 3, SMA 14, and increasing volatility as well. So another very good sign there too. Okay, let's jump onto the 4-hour. Let's try to kind of gap this up a bit so we can see if we have any real opportunities here. But so far it's looking very good. Okay, so now on the On the 4-hour MACD, we still have that upside momentum. In fact, it's increasing now, right? We still have the upside pivots here on the stochastic momentum versus volatility, increasing volatility as well. Money flow index continuing to the upside, guys. It's looking pretty good here. And also, we are starting to get some DMI support here. Please notice that the bulls are actually starting to curve towards the upside. Bears are curling towards the downside, and as soon as the bulls do cross above the bears, and ADX represented by this dotted white line remains above 25%, that's going to be a strong trend for the bulls. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next chart and see what we have. So 8-hour time frame here. Please notice that the 8-hour time frame is also pivoted to the upside here, increasing that bull pressure on the MACD. Please notice that we also have the stochastic momentum versus volatility with upside pivots here, right? We're decreasing that volatility, you guys. This could be by the time that we do enter the bullish control zone of the stochastic momentum, this could very well be at or below the 15th percentile of volatility, which would then present a pretty nice upside continuation here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good too. We already saw the 12 hours, so let's just look at the daily real fast and see what we have in store for us. Okay, so please notice this. Okay, we have the first green bar starting to print after a huge diminishing of bear pressure, right? So please notice here that we're actually about to get that daily cross of the MACD. Very, very bullish here. Okay, you guys, looking not bad whatsoever. All right, so let me just go ahead and enlarge this again and then come back down. Okay, and yes, and now we're starting to get that upside pivot here on the daily stochastics, and we're starting to contract. Okay, so now this is absolutely one of those setups. The daily time frame is indicative of a volatility versus momentum profile play that we usually look at, right? So anytime that we have expanded into critical volatility and started a contraction phase, towards the downside, paired with stochastic towards an upside, that's been mathematically programmed to make a pretty nice move towards the upside, okay, of which there have been several iterations here on the daily time frame. So yeah, this is not looking bad at all, okay, you guys. So now even into the daily even into the buy daily time frame, we can see the loss of bear pressure here, and in fact, we're starting to get that little curl up here on the on the buy daily as well from critical volatility starting to contract. So yeah, you guys, the shorter time frames are essentially influencing the upper time frames for a pretty nice move towards the upside. So let's start looking at the potentials for upside moves here. Okay, you guys, so let's go ahead, dive right into maybe the 4-hour time frame to see what we can do. And I'm going to go ahead and try to favor the very short-term time frame moves. Okay, so for that, actually, let me dive into the 30-minute and see if we have any type of weakness coming in. In fact, man, we almost don't. So in this case, since you see the RSI pivoted towards the upside on the 5-minute, RSI pivoted upside on the 30-minute, 15-minute and the 30-minute, we have the hourly, we have the bi-hourly, 4-hour, everything is literally pivoted towards the upside for this asset. Okay, so actually, let's see the average true range for the asset. So, yeah, it's about 70 cents. So it's not bad. It's not so violent. It is high risk still, but it's not the worst thing in the world, right? So another thing that we should notice here is that we have a 6-hour bullish engulfing, thus kind of giving us another validator for the continuation to the upside. Okay, so yeah, so in this case, when we are facing some type of price movement here to where there is nothing but upside to be looked at, we would actually have to look at the relevant resistances, okay, you guys? So in this case, let's see what we have. So we'll go ahead and take a fib. This is for the immediate short-term time frame, but please remember that fibs work in any time frame at all, right? So let's go ahead and just apply the fib from the overall swing high to the swing low of the range, right? So using the prior day's high and the prior day's low. Okay, the overall high and the overall low. Okay, so let's see what we have as resistance. So as resistance, of course, it would just be naturally at that obvious, very obvious $9.29, right? So in fact, we could actually make a little bit of a range within that, right? So 922 to 929 could be that resistance range that we can face, right? So just like this, we would face a resistance. and then come back down in the immediate short-term time frame. Okay, so this is fast. All right, so we would actually face the resistance from somewhere in this level here, and then we would come back and test a range here. Okay, so this is where it's going to get a little tricky. So we can take an inverse fib from the current print. Okay, so like this. Okay, from swing high to from the swing low to the swing high of that last print. Okay, so in this case, we can see that if we retrace from anywhere in this area here, let's go ahead and start looking at the potentials. First of all, we do have a potential load. I'm going to give you a couple here. Okay, so we have a potential loading zone at that 0.618 at 912, right at about here. Okay, so let's just go ahead and look back to see what we have. Okay, so clearly there is a support range, right? So we're just going to go ahead and draw that in as well. Okay, so it would be the 0.618 at 912. Right, so just like this here, and then we'll go ahead and take into account these candles here, right? Because this candle here, because it has a lot to do with the top side of this wick here, right? The closing of this candle here, right? So there's confluence here, okay? And then also the support level from this candle here. Okay, you guys, so yeah, let's just go ahead and kind of leave it just like this. And in fact, just so that we can identify what's what, we'll make this the green zone, right? And this would be the resistance range. So meaning that there could be a continuation to the upside beyond this point. But if we do gain kind of entry in the zones that we're talking about here, that could already be presenting a pretty nice opportunity for an upside move. Let's just say that we did get a pretty nice entry here, right? So of course, what we're doing here, guys, is always encouraging paper trades, right? Not live money if we're beginners, right? So you can see here that this actually not right. So that's looking like a 2% move. We definitely want to look at beyond this resistance or some type of entry that is a bit lower. Okay, so in fact there is, right? So let me just go ahead and note that entry right at this gap here, right? So the way I'm going to do that is actually to pair it with the 1.618 at 903. So the top side of the gap would, usually be that area for support, right? So just like this here, we'll go ahead and apply it to the next top side. Okay, so, and I can see it already. Let me just go ahead and point it out to you. So the closing of this candle here, right? The opening of this candle here, of course, the opening of this candle here, the closing of this one here, support touch with that wick there, right? Opening of this candle here, and also the wick low of that candle there. Okay, so lots of confluence here. Okay, there's a lot of rhyming. So now, as we start looking at our potential targets to the most obvious target, then this is starting to look pretty nice. I'm not saying that this is the top side. I'm just saying that if there is an opportunity for actually getting long, and just looking at the most obvious target, then, we could use it, right? So it's still a 3% move. Sometimes when price action is going against my favor or showing weakness, I would even decide to maybe scale out 50% risk or even just liquidate. But as far as the momentum and volatility being suggested here, guys, there is a pretty nice, there is a pretty substantial upside to kind of take into account here, right? So another area of resistance would actually be 953 to about 950, right? So just like this here, using the let me just go ahead and note it down like this in color red, right? Taking into account the 1.272 and the top side of this range here. Also, please notice that we've used that 1.272 as a support bottom there, even here. Okay, so now that's, yes, obviously another range, and I can even add a third one in the event to where we do have some pretty nice upside coming in, right? So, and that would actually be very much in particular to the lower end of this range to about the 1.618. Okay, so it would actually be, let me see, there is a tiny gap here. So I would actually favor 970 to 977. So let's just go ahead and draw that in, right? So this is very discretionary. Please remember, guys. So 970 to 977, here we go. And this would be one of those top side targets that we're looking at, right? So now it starts to get a little more interesting, right? So let's just say that we got entry from this top side of the bottom support, right? You're looking at you're looking at about a 7% move to the upside here, and about an 8%, and about an 8% move to the upside here. Okay, now if we wanna make sure that we can, or actually include a type of secondary entry, then a third type of entry, then yes, there is one to look at, and it's particular to the golden pocket. Okay, so we can use the knot 382, just like this here, right, to the overall support of these candles. Okay, so right about here, I'm talking about these candles here, right? We're using so much support there as well. Okay, so yeah, that would be kind of the entire range here, right? So now you can actually see that if we did get it, let's just say that we got it from the very bottom side here, right? And we're starting to look at our targets. The obvious target here would be 4% to around 5%. The secondary target that we looked at is 7% to about 8%. And now you're jumping into the 10%. And and almost 11% gain, right? So knowing your resistances, knowing your supports, right, historically speaking, could bring you some benefit to your trades. Okay, you guys. So yeah, this looks like a very, very short-term scalping opportunity here, you guys. There is a potential here that this thing can continue to the upside even still, but my personal job here is not to hold. My personal job here is actually to make sure that I can find some type of gains in the short term. Okay, you guys. But with that said, remember that I am first and foremost that I am not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy or sell any assets whatsoever. Okay, you guys. I need you to do your own due diligence, and everything will be cool. But with that said, I wish you well, a very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.